this $250 integrated amp versus this $2,500 integrated amp. This is a bad idea. Diminishing returns. What does that mean? It means after a while you spend more money and you don't get any better sound or performance. So where does it start and where does it end? Can a $250 amp be as good as a $2,500 amp? Well, today we're going to figure that out. We have two integrated amplifiers with similar features. Now, of course, the $2,500 amp is probably going to have a few extra features, but if we peel the onion back far enough, they kind of do the same thing. Look at this little thing. It's unique. Looks like a speaker, but it's not just a speaker. It's a speaker phone. This is the Anchorwork S600, and it can be charged and used as a stand with included 15 watts of wireless charging. It's the world's first speakerphone with voice print recognition. It's got voice radar 3.5 AI noise reduction, which means you can be talking, and even if you have a tornado going on in the background, it's just going to concentrate on your voice. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Why are you whispering?
This thing has like AI. It will eliminate other people's voices.
I need this. I have too many kids at my house.
It has 4 microphones surrounding the entire thing and records in 48 kilohertz. This is also good enough for music, 360 degree sound. Voice print technology actually cancels out voices that aren't your own. Check this out. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Do you hear anybody else's voice besides mine?
No. Is there somebody else there?
Yeah.
Well, I can't hear them.
It's got 5 watts of output. It's not just good for voices, but it's also good for music. And there's an adjustable viewing angle of up to 70 degrees. The Anchorwork team has developed advanced algorithms and invented the first voice print recognition technology speakerphone. And it recognizes over 300 different noise types. You can live stream on it. You can watch videos on it. And the beauty of it is you can take it anywhere. Anchorwork is offering limited time sales on Kickstarter. There's up to a 45% super early bird discount. First come, first serve. So check out the exclusive link in the description to make your purchase today. Why is the law of diminishing returns so important to me? Because this entire channel started because of action figures, Star Wars and G.I. Joe action figures. My parents moved to Arizona and they cleaned out the basement, and in the basement was a huge box full of my old action figures. I was very fastidious about those action figures. I kept all their accessories. So when my folks moved to Arizona, they dropped off a whole bunch of my old junk stuff. Wasn't junk, actually, because obviously they didn't want to take it to Arizona. Now, I thought, I could sell these. And I thought about just selling the entire box of action figures, I don't know, for like $150. But then I thought, let's let the market decide. So I put them up individually on eBay. And guess what? Apparently there's a whole bunch of people like me out there that want to recapture their past by buying old 35-year-old action figures, and they'll pay a premium for it because we have a little bit of disposable income if you're Gen Xer. I raised over $4,000, and I was so excited because I could finally buy good hi-fi equipment. I could finally hear what everybody else was talking about when they talked about high-end gear. So I bought a Moon by Sim Audio integrated amplifier. And I bought a used pair of Kef LS50. So all in, that system was $4,000 to $5,000. And I turned it on, and guess what? It didn't really sound much different from my AV receiver, which I paid $800 for. And I got angry. Ooh, I got angry. So angry, in fact, that I started a YouTube channel to talk about affordable hi-fi gear and how oftentimes you get the same amount of performance out of a very affordable piece of equipment that you do out of a very expensive piece of equipment. If we're defining performance by sound quality from gear that is half, 1/4, or even 1/10 of the price. Poor Loxg A40 didn't have a chance in this one. 165 watts times 2 into 4 ohms? Maybe. I didn't put super heavy or super huge speakers on these for this test. I put the Sonos Faber Lumina 2 Amateurs on the test. It's a bookshelf speaker, and a darn good one at that. I have a video reviewing those if you'd like to check it out. In reality, the Loxg A40 is going to provide enough power for most people in most situations. If you have a huge speaker that hits really deep and they're just dropping bombs, then you probably need the extra power of the Advanced Paris A10 Classic. Most people are going to find the pedestrian looks of the Loxg A40 to pale in comparison to the vintage, the beautiful, the lights, but especially the VU meters on the Advanced Paris A10 Classic. But does that matter? If you're only into the sonics, then no, it doesn't matter. And there's other products out there that can add not all of the charm of the Advanced Paris A10 Classic, but maybe a little bit of it. And that would be this. This is the Fozzy Audio LC30. So if you're on a budget, but you still want some of that VU meter goodness in your life, then maybe check this thing out. Although they're all sold out. There's also one thing that I didn't really touch on as much as I should have, and that's the sensitivity. So you control the sensitivity of how much throw the VU meters are doing with this little knob in the middle. A lot of people in the comments have said even if you max that knob out, you're not getting a ton of movement on the VU meters. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at the LC30 from Fozzy Audio. However, there's also another option, and I don't know where it's at. It's the Duke Audio VU1 or maybe VU3. Same price as the Fozzy Audio, but smaller footprint. And I never really felt like it had a sensitivity issue when it came to the VU meters moving around. What's the takeaway? You can add VU meters if you want to the Loxg A40 for about $135. A10 Classic has so many different inputs, from multiple digital inputs, multiple analog inputs, and a phono stage. However, the Loxg kind of has the same type of inputs, just much fewer. So if you need a whole bunch of connections on your beautiful A10 Classic, then the Loxg obviously is not going to work. But if you don't need all those inputs, then there's nothing wrong with this one. The phono stage on the A10 Classic is better. It's more dynamic, it's more airy, it resolves more detail, it's more musical. However, the phono stage on the Loxg A40 is fine. And if you have a Loxg A40, chances are you probably have a fairly affordable turntable. The A10 Classic, I have no problem putting my Michel Techno deck with the fancy arm and a fancy gold ring E4 cartridge on it. But if you have a $200 Fluence, you're going to be just fine with the Loxg. The A10 Classic has the Sabre 9018 chipset in it. It's a good chipset. Sounds great, and it's going to give most people what they need. However, it's not the latest and greatest. The Loxg A40 has kind of a hybrid DAC chip. It's a Cirrus Logic DAC chip, which also has double duty as a headphone amplifier. But you can't separate the DAC from the amp, especially when it's an integrated amp. What's the takeaway? If anything, I think it's a tie. Oh, I forgot to mention, the Loxg does MQA. Listen, I could go on and on about the transient response, the soundstage, the musicality, and how the A10 is slightly better. And if you want an answer which one is better, the A10 Classic is better. I didn't really touch on this, but the headphone amplifier in the A40 is actually better than the A10 Classic. Why? Because I couldn't get the A10 Classic to really work. I kept having channel dropouts. It sounded like there was some type of phase issues on it. And it couldn't power harder to drive headphones. Even these Hifi and Sundar closebacks, the Loxg had no problem powering. But that's not the question. That's not the reason why you're watching till the end. You're watching because you want to know if a $250 product can compete with a $2,500 product. And I'm here to tell you that yes, it can. Do you want me to put a percentage on it? 85%. The Loxg A40 is 85% of the sonic wonderment that is the A10 Classic. There's that last 15%. And then the elephant in the room is how it looks. And if we're considering how it looks, then the A10 Classic is 1,293% better than the Loxg A40. You want meters? Get the Duke Audio. Get the Fozzy Audio speaker switcher. And the absolute beauty of the Loxg A4 is that you can get an entire system for less than $400. That can move you emotionally and visually if you add stuff along your journey. As gearheads, I think we're always looking for the best deal. We're always looking for that one thing that's as good as something that's twice as much, 5 times as much, 10 times as much. That is the overwhelming theme of some reviews on Amazon. I've even made reviews like this. This product is as good as a speaker, twice the price, 3 times the price. And that logic is just wrong. Not all products in a given category sound the same. I know of some companies that put a 10 times multiplier on the cost of their product. I know other companies that put a 2 times multiplier on the cost of their product. So even if those were exactly the same products, there'd be a giant chasm between prices. The takeaway here, and it's almost always the takeaway on most of my videos, if you don't have a ton of money to spend on your hi-fi system, you probably shouldn't worry about it. Should probably just do this and listen to some more music.